Hello, beautiful people. Mic check, mic check. How you doing? I didn't expect to see you today. Let's just go ahead and say that. Well, actually, I may have seen you today, but I was going to be talking about something entirely different. Nevertheless, shout out to everybody who's watching. Hello, I'm ABSA. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Slap that like button like Drake keeps getting slapped with lawsuits. Subscribe. We're almost to 20,000. Share this live. Yeah. Yeah. Also, a little bit of housekeeping here right at the top of the hour to the YouTube channel Stay Wavy TV. You stole copyrighted content. You've received a cease and desist in your email. And this is just marking that for posterity. It's called contemporaneous documentation. Okay? Thank you. Y'all can check out the post tab later to help address that situation on the YouTube side, and I'll address it on my side. And then we'll just move on. Hit the like button. Share this live. Drake has been sued again. Yeah, Drake has been sued again, this time in New Mexico. And I want to just be clear, okay, for folks, so we make sure that we're being accurate in what we're saying. Some of you are not being accurate in the comments section. These lawsuits are not filed by the states. These lawsuits are filed in the states. Okay? But let's go back to what we talked about yesterday. Day before yesterday, almost at the close of business, Drake, Adin Ross, and Stake's parent company were sued in the state of Missouri by just common folk. Okay? Hoping to achieve class action status for a lawsuit against the three of them. We covered it yesterday. There's extensive live and scripted video. And if you want to know what the lawsuit says in New Mexico, my understanding is it says the exact same thing. It's almost exactly a mirror of the lawsuit that we looked at. I have not looked at the lawsuit in New Mexico because New Mexico doesn't actually believe in accessibility for the public. So we went through that for the past 3 hours. Shout out to the looters who also confirmed, yeah, nope, can't get it. So this is all we have, but apparently this is all we need for now. And because we are now thoroughly familiar with their online docket system, the docket that we will be following will be Missouri. But nevertheless, we're talking about the case that has been filed in New Mexico against, yes, Stake's parent company, Drake, and Adin Ross for basically the exact same thing, running an online gambling casino and tricking, lying to, defrauding, and stealing from consumers in the great state of New Mexico. So, I said yesterday when we talked about the Missouri lawsuit that I felt like the Missouri lawsuit was one of the least surprising pieces of litigation to hit Drake ever. We learned a lot. Okay, during the live reading of that lawsuit, we learned a lot about the various parent company subsidiaries and how they operate and how their platforms actually work. that none of us knew. We learned a lot about our assumptions about things. Um, and again, it's basically identical, is my understanding, to this New Mexico um, lawsuit. And what is interesting here is that these class action lawsuits are specifically arguing that Drake and Adin Ross weren't just, contracted influencers, you know, that their contracts and their influence and their alleged lies about their bets and about their winnings, misrepresentations to the public, were all a part of, basically um, an effort to defraud and steal from people, and that their behavior is so central and egregious that it extends beyond just liability of the company to actually liability of them as well as individual people connected to the company. So that's a very strong assertion. In looking at the news, there's been about 8 different lawsuits in various states against online gaming platforms. Stake is in 3 of those. Drake and Adin are in 2 of them. 2 of the 3 that Stake is in. And so, as I said during the live, as I said during my scripted video, if there aren't attorneys in states that are actually working in coordination with each other, then there are, again, attorneys and prospective plaintiffs, people that have used this platform and had the exact same experience, who heard about the Missouri lawsuit, um, and said, "That's me," or "That's our state," and said, "Let me look at this lawsuit. Let me look at our state laws. We may have something here." So I said, tip of the iceberg. I think this is a huge problem for him. And I think that I think there's more to come. I think pretty much in every state where online gambling is illegal, some, you know, some components of Drake, Aiden Stake are going to get sued by people. I also went back to the Missouri docket yesterday at the end of the day because that's one that we can fully see and we can get documents from relatively easily. I went back to that to just look at it at the end of the day yesterday to see what had gone on. And one of the things that I noticed is that a copy of this lawsuit, which is filed by residents, okay, a resident, excuse me, in Missouri, um, a copy was sent to the state attorney general's office. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." Apparently, upon seeing that, because it cited state law, so I went and looked at that state law, and any efforts, done by civilians basically to create a class action lawsuit in the state of Missouri, that complaint then by law has to be transmitted to the state attorney's general office so that they can take a look. They want to know. It's basically a huge FYI to them, right? It's a huge FYI to them to say, we have filed this complaint in your state, which you are responsible for, the protection of consumers in this state. And we're filing a consumer protection related class action. FYI, here's a copy of the complaint. I said, "Oh." I mean, not as if they didn't know. They would have seen in the news that it was filed, et cetera, but per law, they have to send them a copy. and say, this is happening. So, as I said yesterday, as I said in the scripted video, domino effect for either potential litigants, law firms, or states themselves to say, we're going to take this on. We're going to sue. So what I would imagine that one of the first things, and yes, I am fully aware that Adin doesn't know how to shut up. Okay, I'm fully aware. I don't really care about his public statements. But I would imagine strategically that one of the things that Drake and Adin need to accomplish immediately is that no, they do not qualify for their own independent liability, right? That no, this is no, we should not be an independent party being sued in these lawsuits. That's the first thing that they have to try and accomplish, because these lawsuits explicitly, they're individual parties being sued together. That you as an individual are liable for the losses suffered. You are a part of this. So the first thing that they have to accomplish is I did not and I should not, and everything was cool and, kosher underneath my agreement with I didn't have any control how they used my ads or blah 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 blah, right? I didn't know that they weren't putting disclaimers on things and telling people this is all a lie, whatever it is. That's the first thing that they have to try and accomplish, to get it dismissed against them as individual people. And then Stake's parent company is, also going to try and just, we didn't break the laws of your good state, right? And so while states have laws for the same or similar reasons, their laws are tailored to that state. So they could prevail in one state and lose in another. There is no like one stop magic wand that they can take to multiple states filing actions against them. They could, I mean, if it became like a huge snowball situation and they got sued by parties in or by the 4, 5, 6, 7 states, and they can't legally get it to go away, strategically they could say this all needs to be combined into one class. And they could try and accomplish that. I'm spitballing here, right? But this is whack-a-mole for them at this point in time. You have to address each one individually, even though they may seem to be, nearly identical. Once you get into having to litigate them in separate states, you need counsel that understands the states in those the laws in those states. And this isn't like LA and New York, right? Where you find, oh yeah, oh yeah, Rock Nation. They got lawyers in LA and New York. We know that. That pops up on dockets all the time. They're all in one law firm. Are you going to be able to find that for Missouri, the Dakotas, New Mexico? You're getting into middle America. Those are severe, those are cash legal expenses. Those are cash legal expenses. So we could see a staggering of cases being filed across the country. It just depends, If this is a legally coordinated effort across multiple states, this is for funsies, okay? This is not a conspiracy. It's not even a theory. It's just strategy for funsies, okay? If this is a legally coordinated effort across, attorneys or law firms that just know each other, they've all been talking and deciding, yeah, we're going to do this, right? there's a pathway where they're not opposed to then being joined together at some point in time in a class, right? If this is a domino effect situation where it's like, oh, what's going on over there? Huh? What's going on here? If it's one of those, we may see a staggering if there are litigants or their attorneys who don't want to be enjoined to something bigger. They want their own class. So they're going to wait and let a lawsuit progress a little bit so it's clearly on its own legal track. And then 6 months later, they're going to file their stuff and kick off their thing. We'll just see what happens. But I definitely see them getting sued again. Different states, different laws, different rules, different requirements. It's specialized. I mean, again, all law is specialized, but it's specialized kind of complex litigation. So you need attorneys that specialize in, a weaving of some complex issues here. You're not going to see his, UMG lawyers. That was their specialty. Nope, you're going to need new lawyers in new states every single time you get sued. Now, there are law firms that are basically everywhere, so it's not like they can't find them. But it still costs you money, and it's cash money to have lawyers everywhere chasing people down. We were watching Meg do it in real time. She's got a law firm, Quinn Emanuel. They're everywhere. So we need to file an action in New Jersey? Fine. We need to sue in Florida? Fine. We need to do depositions in California? Not a problem. So you can find big law that's basically everywhere. But it's going to cost you, even though they have offices everywhere. Thank you for the $20. I appreciate you supporting the Docket Fund. Shout out to the best mod squad on the internet, keeping the links in tight rotation. Shucks. Thank you very much. Every once in a while, I get a comment from somebody saying, "I'm so glad Quality sent me over here." Shout out. Much appreciated. Thank you for the support. See how easy it is to support a channel instead of steal from it? It's not that complicated. Yeah. Yeah, and as I was looking for, as much reputable news that wasn't just parroting, regurgitating the same shit they got from a different website or from X, trying to learn, more about this situation. I saw a post, somebody who brought up the Fighting Irish lyrics about double encryption. And I just sighed and shook my head and then, went on to figuring out, well, what are my little screenshots going to be, since New Mexico doesn't believe in actually making things available to the public unless you walk your ass into the courthouse. But anyway, it'll come online eventually. I don't know that we'll necessarily have another live just to read it, because, again, my understanding is it's basically identical to follow. For that reason, unless I have somebody in New Mexico send me an email. I might need to slide you some gas money. So but anyway, back to Drake's potential liabilities. all I can really do is shake my head because you intentionally chose to be a pathetic man who, is cash hungry and, indulging, I guess, your inherited Southern habits, whatever the that means. It's just a degenerate leading degenerates. Hit the like button, y'all. This is completely unrelated to the topic at hand, but it's an intriguing question. No, I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why at all. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Why would you give him that much credit? Do you think he can spell tariff? Baby, if he can't spell it, he can't do it. Also, he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. So, no, but back to the topic at hand. Drake thinks he's a hell of a lot smarter than he is. He thinks he's so smart. I mean, he thinks we're the ones who don't get it. And I'm just shaking my head at the horror in my mind, okay? The horror in my mind to answer your question. The most expensive attorney that I have ever worked with, who was an expert in her field, thankfully, because of the nature of the work that my client needed, it was footed by the firm. It was a big law firm. She was $2,000 an hour. Did not have to go to court. Did not have to go to court. Did not have to go to court for anything. That was never a part of it. There was never a concern that was going to happen. This is what we need you to do this at your desk on your computer. It was all administrative. And we were very lucky because, I mean, when I tell you that we got an expert, a legal expert, an attorney who is an expert in this particular, field where we needed that level of expertise, incredible that she would even say yes and not say like, here's an associate from the firm, right? But she wanted her hands on it, and she didn't have to leave her desk, and we worked. Then they added other attorneys based on whatever was coming up along the way, all pro bono. She was the most expensive out of the group, but none of them was less than $1,000. We worked with them for like 9 months, every week. Every week we had at least one meeting. In between those meetings, they were going away and doing things, coming back at the next meeting with more things done and then more things to do. So, I know that's a long ass answer, but I'm just like, I can't. Welcome, beautiful. Thank you. Mrs. C60, thank you. So, if they were to get, first of all, if they were to get sued in like 40 something states, that's more than likely going to get put into, you know, a single action, probably, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know if, I just don't know. I don't know if that can happen if it's not a federal case. I'm going to have to do a lot of research. We'll see how it goes over the next couple of days, right? I'll see how it goes so that I can make sure I spend my time wisely. But if there's another lawsuit, I'm going to have to do a deep dive into, okay, what's going on here and what are the probabilities for how this could go? There's obviously a lot that I don't know or understand about the process of how this would go. And for anybody who's about to hop in the chat and be like, I'm a lawyer, send me an email from your law firm email address, and then I will take seriously whatever you say in the chat. And if you're actually a lawyer, you know why I'm saying that. Okay. But I'm pretty good, at researching, presenting accurate information. So, yeah, man, I would, who knows? Who knows? You're gonna need more than one attorney per case, and then their staff. So, who knows? And the reason why I went I've worked not for, but I've worked with attorneys whose hourly rate is 250, right? But that that's, proportional to what it is that they do. This is not a $250 an hour attorney case. And there are attorneys that charge more than $2,000 an hour. I'm just telling you what my personal experience has been. I don't think I've worked with I'm thinking about another attorney that I've worked with who used to be a US attorney, and I think his rate was about 1,900 an hour, if I recall. So, still around the 2,000 an hour range. Yeah, we're learning a lot about a lot of things. Well, even if you have a firm with multiple state access, you're still gonna need to hire more attorneys out of more than one office, right? Just because your firm has offices in, let's say, Texas and New Mexico, doesn't mean that those attorneys can practice in both states. Maybe they can, maybe they cannot. So, you're gonna need attorneys from each state, even if you have one law firm that has attorneys or that has offices in multiple states. Just for, I would imagine, the sake of continuity. So, Man, it's a little whiplash moment, it's like you just got smushed in between 2 things, boy. The Missouri situation is a little bit more frustrating and, they gonna have to figure something out, I guess, as a law firm if they want publicity on this to figure out what they're gonna do because, yeah, it's very difficult to get documents. So, New Mexico. Missouri it's right there. So, if you want a certified copy, you gotta pay for it. If you don't want a certified copy, you don't have to pay for it. So, but nevertheless, it especially with what's going on at the federal level, and it just seems like somebody said, guess it's gonna be Drake lawsuits this fall. It's starting to feel like, um, a critical mass is being reached that we didn't know was building necessarily, you know? So, and I'm sure right now that there are states attorneys general who are going down to their consumer protection division and saying, have we gotten complaints about this company? How many complaints? What's the nature of the complaints? I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest bit if the state of Washington sued. Sweepstakes is the name of the parent company. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit. We're good for shit like that. We're good for shit like that. No, I don't. Because um no, I don't believe that it would turn criminal because I I think that's a much uh more difficult case to prove based on what we know. Cuz what I'm thinking is like on what grounds, right? On what grounds based on what we know so far, which is one filing, on what grounds would it turn criminal? I don't see that happening. I also don't see ever, ever this becoming a federal matter. Ever. Somebody may file a federal level lawsuit, but the feds are never going to take this on. Ever. Because Stake does crypto. And the administration wants to increase the use of and decrease the regulation of. So they're never going to be like, we're launching a criminal investigation into blah, 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 blah. That's not going to happen. Like the most obvious thing would be like money laundering or something like that. But no, I think if a state attorneys general were to take this on, that's still a civil action. I just answered that question. I do not see that happening. And anybody out there who's screaming, they about to get indicted for this, that, and the other, by who, for what, where? That's exhausting. So the Missouri case, matter of fact, let me go look at what I downloaded. Because I've already started to calendar some things in the first lawsuit. Case conference. no, hold on. Don't let me put some stuff up here that ain't nobody seen, that ain't watermarked. You know how these biscuit heads are. Let me not do that to myself. People irritating the shit out of me enough as it is over this channel. What is it? There it is. Watermark. Generate. Okay. I don't know why you have to click on a PDF document 56,000 times to get it to actually open. It is really obnoxious. Okay. So going back to the Missouri lawsuit, this right here, I know it's really hard to see. This is just what I talked about earlier. This was on the docket. This is a copy of the notice that was sent to Missouri's State Attorney General. Sent by the court clerk, enclosed is a copy of the petition filed in the above case. Again, this is Kilham versus Sweepstakes, Drake and Adin. You are being notified of this action in accordance with section blah, 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 Missouri law. Okay, and then the court also docketed a notice of case management conference for the civil case and an order for mediation. So, and this is just typical. Yes, sight unseen based on nothing but complaint. So a case management conference will be held on the 20th of March, 2026. Anybody who wants a continuance should file on or before Wednesday of the week prior in compliance with Supreme Court rules. A lead attorney of record must be designated for each party. At the case management conference, counsel should be prepared to address at least the following: a trial setting, expert witness disclosure cutoff date, a schedule for the orderly preparation of the case for trial, excuse me, any issues which require input or action by the court, the status of settlement negotiations. Mediation. The parties are ordered to participate in mediation pursuant to Supreme Court Rule 17. Mediation shall be completed within 10 months after the date the case is filed. Excuse me. Mediation shall be completed within 10 months after the date the case, if filed for complex cases, and 6 months after the date of the case, if filed for other circuit cases, unless otherwise ordered by the court. Each party shall personally appear at the mediation and participate in the process. So mediation is a boilerplate part of the process of a case like this. While the litigation potential trial process is going, they also go into mediation to see if they can work it out without having to do that. If they can't work it out, they already have a schedule that is being laid out, and they're, starting to build up what is going to be required to be done by when. The parties shall confer and select a mutually agreeable person to act as a mediator in this case. If they can't agree, the court will appoint one. There was something in here as well. Maybe I skipped over it, but there was something in here as well about, there it is. It's in the first paragraph. When I was talking about the case management conference for March 20 of next year, it says that a continuance for that will only be granted for good cause because it is the desire of the court to meet with counsel and parties in all cases within the first 4 months that a case has been on file. So that's when the court has deemed they are able to schedule that, giving all of the things coming up, holidays, court closures, existing dockets, et cetera, et cetera. So the court is kind of setting up the typical, standard process and procedure. And then in the meantime, summons have been issued, parties will be served, all the attorneys will come onto the docket, and then motions will start to be filed. Um, and then we'll go from there. So it's already Missouri is already like, okay, these are the typical things. So typical things get done. It's really pathetic. I mean, I wouldn't wanna be on the receiving end of a class action lawsuit. Why you say fuck me for what I do? Oh god, that sounds terrible. That sounds absolutely terrible. There sure is, and I'll be here tomorrow at 4 o'clock to spend a little bit of it with you. There's still one more day. Mm, 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 mm. This is a perfectly reasonable assumption. I've said this since the first lawsuit. This is all I'm just like, "Oh god, this is about to be a floodgate situation." A lot of people gotta be mad at you for a class action lawsuit. A lot of people gotta be mad at you for a class action lawsuit. You hurt a whole group of people certified by the court as victims of you. Oh my god. He said, UMG let Kendrick call me a predator. And these lawsuits said, so anyway, this predator motherfucker trying to steal our client's money under false pretenses. He a liar and a mascot. Never forget. Never forget. He a liar and a mascot. Hussy. If you or a loved one has been victimized by Lawbur State Graham, you may be entitled to financial compensation. I've thought about it too many times since we read it. I've thought about it too many times. They called him a mascot. My God. The mental the mental ping pong happening in my brain with the word mascot, the word association is crazy, okay? The word association for mascot in my brain as an indigenous black woman is crazy. Crazy. And they called him a mascot. It's it's a dagger. It's a really, really sharp. You didn't realize you were bleeding out. Twice. Oh, damn. I synced it. I synced it. Yeah. Law of thirds. Jesus. Fuck. Is mascot worse than token? Yeah, I think so. It feels like it. It feels like it. It definitely feels like it. I've never, ever, 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 ever heard a person described in that way before in this context. And the appropriateness is just so, I mean, it's stunningly appropriate that it's, yeah, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Down in Dixie. Thank you, beautiful. Down in Dixie says he's getting 15 years worth of karma within the span of 1 year. I've never witnessed anything like this, baby. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was thinking to myself this morning, like, am I going to have to write another book in a year? Because I just feel like it's really about to go from bad because it was already bad. He was in a bad place. He was in a bad place, and it's about to go from bad to worse. Sure. Sure, boo boo. Sure.
I study rap battles for a living.
That part. Yeah. I mean, this is all self-inflicted. This is all self-inflicted. It really is pathetic that he even decided to sign on with them in the first place. But they offered him, what was between the couch cushions, and he was like, "I'll take it. Thank you very much. I need that. Green stacks cash? Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you." I want to see everything. I want to know everything. You know, I want to see everything. I want to know everything. I want to know about his bets. I want to know which ones were real, which ones were not. I want to know what his contract says. I want to know what their communications have been. I want to know. Because honestly, fuck him for even doing this in the first place. He should have never done it. And it just shows what a selfish prick he is. It has no positive material impact in the world. So, him using black people as props to give away stacks of money to, fuck him for that too. It's just gross all the way around. I feel no sympathy for the man whatsoever. Cook his whole ass. Make an example out of them. For real. This your king? This him, huh? They said he's turning y'all into gambling degenerates, but this is your king. Okay, sure. I addressed this at the beginning of the live. There's legal argument for why these men are included as individuals, about their individual liability. So, no, they literally have a legal justification for naming them as individual people. So, no. Oh, God, y'all are just whooping this man's ass.
High five. I'm bulletproof.
Jimmy Clam says Drake behaves like a kid who's always gotten his way. Yep, spoiled brat. Yep. Drake's ego is out of control. Yep. And his fall will be epic. Yep. Sadly, we're all going to witness it. Drake is wasting his money while K-Dot is not spending any money on lawyers. I'm sure Kendrick spends quite a bit of money on lawyers. Period. But it's a part of the budget. Litigation and having lawyers on deck in certain situations is just part of the budget, right? But this is liability on a different scale. This is liability on a different scale. This is not a copyright. This is not a defamation. This is a class action lawsuit where, unless there's a cap on damages in these states, they can make you pay actual damages and then teach you a lesson damages. Yeah, you got to pay lawyers just to talk to each other. Have meetings, draft things, research, revise things, research some more. It's just a whole process. Meet again, meet again, meet with opposing counsel, debrief the meeting with opposing counsel, type up contemporaneous documentation about the debrief and the meeting with counsel. I mean, it's just, And in the beginning, people are like, oh, it's nothing. I'm okay. Sure. You're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars just on a motion to dismiss. Cash. Again, cash. You're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on attorneys trying to argue that actually this is all stake, or stake needs to pay for your lawyers. They could wind up, Drake and Adin could wind up in litigation with stake. Because there is something in their contracts about being held harmless from liability and lawsuits and such and such and such. So that's another track that they got to go down and figure out and try and argue that behind closed doors of like, who's paying for the attorneys here? Well, you're being sued as an individual, yet my contract with you says, though, per blah, 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 that so they could wind up fighting each other in court. Like, this could spin off a bunch of different things, let alone additional lawsuits. I would be shocked if there are not additional lawsuits within a 6-month period. And again, there may be people who be like, well, why doesn't everybody just file them now? If there are, entities and states and they want to try and avoid being joined into some big massive thing, they're going to stagger their filings. Let cases get get down their path and then file their action. Or they're just going to say, fuck it, I don't care, file the shit. Yeah. Yeah, the person who's in for the biggest lesson of learning is Adin Ross, because that boy don't know shit about shit. So he's got some motherfucking nerve to even open his mouth. I don't know. I know it must drive his attorneys fucking crazy. It must drive them fucking crazy. Just shut the fuck up and don't say anything. It's all bullshit. My lawyers are gonna handle it. Posture all you want. Posture all you want. Meanwhile, you need to find expert counsel in the states where you're being sued. No, I don't know that. I don't know that. Would it surprise me? Not in the slightest bit. Would it surprise me if states wait and stagger? Not in the slightest bit. Adin Mariachi Ross. Yeah, they boy oh boy. No, because they've already once a class has been certified, is my understanding, that means that the complaint is also locked. They can't amend it. They would have to change their entire lawsuits. And they don't, if they've determined that they don't need them to do it, to sue, then they determine that that's not their argument. Not every lawsuit needs to look exactly the same to justify the lawsuit. So there are states, or not states, excuse me. There are people in states that are suing Stake's parent company for the exact same thing as these lawsuits, except Drake and Adin are not included. But this is an online casino. Yes, same thing. So that stands on its own. our layperson interpretation here, after looking at the first lawsuit, we all came to the conclusion that yes, these are online casinos. We weren't really under the impression that they were anything but that. Now we have a better understanding of how they actually work. And even that is it. That's one of those things where it's like they didn't even try. And you scratch just the itty bittiest of the surface of the app, and you can see what it actually really is. It's laughable. And they're using audacity as a part of their strategy to come off as totally legal, innocent, unharmful. It's just a game. So not every lawsuit has to look the same or include the same parties for it to be viable. And that would be an issue, right? With combining everything into one big thing across states. It's like at least the respondents or defendants have to be the same in order for that to happen. So far Stake has at least 5 or 6 different lawsuits against them filed by people in states, not filed by states. Well, actually California might actually be doing something, or a city or county in California. Research goes out of my brain really fast sometimes, but I'm remembering something about that. But anyway, generally I'm more accurate than I am inaccurate in what I'm saying right now in terms of who's doing what. But in terms of respondents, of all of those, there's only 2 so far where the respondents are the same. And it's Sweepstakes, it's Drake, and it's Adin. So yeah, I think I think his awakening is the rudest out of this situation, because he does think that he can just hide in his house. He thinks that this frame is real and that he can just live in it. But with the Megan Thee Stallion situation, and there are some things that came onto the docket for that case today with regard to him and Daystar. He had to start learning some lessons, right? You can't just boss attorneys around. We'll do this and file this. Well, what's going to happen? The judge is going to throw it out 40 minutes later and say, boy, if you don't get your ass together. And then he's got his own attorneys telling him you can't stream more than X amount of hours a day. You can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, it's not fun anymore, huh? No, it's not fun. Zero fun, sir. They think that everything they do is okay or a game or has no consequence. And no, that's not going to work. These people, Missouri in particular, that law firm, they're not going to fuck around. They're not going to fuck around with Adin Ross. If they can't serve him, they're just going to file a motion to serve by alternate means, and they will publish that shit in the fucking paper in Florida. They'll email it to him. They'll text it to him. They'll post it on his property. They'll publish that shit. Adin Ross, you're being sued. And they'll submit all of that to the court and say, there, we served him. And the court will say, yep, you sure did. And again, because he doesn't shut the fuck up, we learned this the first time when he tried to get rid of Megan's motion to compel. I wasn't actually served and I never really blah, 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 blah. And I don't know. And then what does he do? Puts a copy of the fucking summons on the docket where we read the subpoena. Judge said, boy, if you don't have your lawyers, confer with her lawyers and figure this out behind closed doors and get away from me right now. That shit was hilarious. It happened in the same live. It happened in the breaking news. Adin Ross has filed. It was grand opening, grand closing. Filed it. Judge threw it out 40 minutes later. It was wild. Said that's not how it works here. Boy. I'm looking at a docket. Sorry. Sure did. That judge said, excuse me, did you not check my website before you came over here and bothered me? Whew. Yes. This is exactly correct. This is exactly correct. And he thinks he's slick. And he's not slick. Just because you've gotten away with things don't mean that it's okay. That's where they fuck themselves up. As soon as they start to get away with stuff, they think they can just do whatever the fuck they want and there's no consequence for it. Or because somebody paid them some money and they signed a contract, it's legal and above board. No, boo-boo, that's not what that means. Not at all. Not even close. Grand opening, grand closing. That would be awkward. That would be awkward. This is what I want to see. Publish it in a paper. Which, for a class action in particular, would be completely appropriate. Completely appropriate. Get a fucking billboard. Billboard. Newspaper. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All that. Call 1-800-DEGENERATE. 1-888-MASCOT. Just a billboard that looks like this with the law firm's logo and then just a phone number. One 1-800-MASCOT. Call us if you feel that you have been harmed by Steak, Drake, and Adin Ross. I can see it. I can see it. Oh my God, you guys are so brutal. Also so witty. My God. That you thought this up in your mind is just really incredible.
High five. I'm bulletproof.
You get an A+ on your paper for sure. Mm-hmm. You get an A+ for sure. No, there's no notice or anything like that at this point in time. We're a long way away from that happening. But there's definitely a point at which, yes, they do send out, notices to let people know that they may be a part of a class action that is happening. But after the Missouri lawsuit, it's not hard to see how more lawsuits could come up. Anybody who heard about it, who's also in a state where it is illegal, has a claim, potentially, right? And so is calling law firms and saying like, "Hey, so I downloaded this app. This has been my experience. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's not hard for litigants and attorneys to find each other, right? And then you do have law firms that just put out the call. We saw that with Tony Busby before he royally fucked off his legal career, or at least his legal reputation. His career is technically still limping along, but his reputation is forever damaged. But they put out an open call for alleged victims. So, and that happens. People put up billboards, they put up advertisements, they go on television, all that kind of stuff. Mm, 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 mm. That's not their independent choice. That's not how settlement works. So, don't do shit like that here. You look like a dumbass here when you try. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What's crazy is this change would have been appropriate before these two lawsuits. Because the judge in Drake v. UMG served his ass real hard. I was reading that document again because there were parts of it that I just wanted to experience again. I was looking at it again last night and just shaking my head in bewilderment. Like, I can't believe this is actually real. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But, I can literally take it to bed with me and just nestle up. Nestle up and just flip through the pages and go, "Oh, yeah, this is really real. This is really real." Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The thought of having to write more books about this motherfucker's L's is not anything that I had on my bingo card. Nothing at all. Thank you. Because on the one hand, nobody wants to go through discovery, because I said this in the live the other day, when we went through the Missouri lawsuit, based on what it was, the specificity of their accusations against Drake and Adin, that gets you into what are their contracts. That also, the lawsuits also potentially get them into trade secrets of how this company does what it does through its platform. So it's a huge problem for Sweepstakes, is the name of the parent company. It's a huge problem for them. It gets infinitely worse if actual states open investigations or file lawsuits. Infinitely worse. Because that's just a different game altogether. For a lot of this, he doesn't have to be present. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I eagerly await when they actually formally get served in Missouri, because that's when the clock starts on response. They have to either respond or motion something. And they have to respond individually. Steak has to respond. Adin has to respond. Drake has to respond. Unless by some miracle, they, as separate individual parties with individual alleged liability, decide they are all going to be represented by the same law firm and lead counsel, which could happen. But I don't think that I would want to do that if it were me. I would want my own counsel to protect my interests. Period. So, we'll see. I'm too fucking done. Oh my God. I can't. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mascot titties. Good, because he didn't have any actual liability. That was a situation where he was sued for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. That's just my opinion of the situation. People up in this chat just it never cease to amaze me at the shit that they can come up with. I would laugh harder. I'm just tired. It's been a long day, so I'm just like, I don't have the energy to fall over laughing. But this is incredible. Anita Court Win tour coming soon is incredible. Truly. I know it wasn't very imaginative, but again, I'm tired. This boy and his problems. Like, no, this was not the thing that I was going to be talking about or doing today. That's not what was going to happen today, but it's fine. For those who are interested, I want to clarify something that I said the other day. So apparently, when I was talking about the James Comey case, and I brought up the fact that the judge is going to be doing a review of everything having to do with the grand jury. Sorry. So those things were the grand jury process was called into question in Comey's motions to dismiss, and he filed another motion to dismiss today for literal innocence. But he brings up the grand jury I'm so sorry. Secrecy and integrity, that's the word. Brings that up in his first two motions to dismiss. And then I told you, like, oh, yeah, the judge is going to do this thing. And I told you about my for funsies prediction that I had made where I said James Comey is going to motion for. And that sounds like he did at the time that I told you the judge was going to do it. It sounds like what I said was James Comey filed a motion. The judge ruled yes and then said, I'm going to review everything in the grand jury. And as it turns out, that's not what happened. But my prediction is still right. It's even better than it was the last time I talked to you, because the sequence of events is actually he files his two motions to dismiss. He's filing a bunch of other shit as well. The judge looks at the substance of everything and comes to the determination that he needs to look at the grand jury, everything having to do with the grand jury, the transcript, everything Halligan did leading up to, before, and after, all of that stuff. So all of that happened. And then today, James Comey filed a motion to disclose the grand jury proceedings. And that was my for funsies prediction on the 23rd. I typed at like 2:00 in the morning in the Discord just so I could capture it somewhere. I said, I think James Comey is going to file a motion to go after the grand jury. And to have the judge look at it and to determine if anything is exculpatory and should be handed over to the defense, or et cetera, et cetera. So I was still right. I was just ahead of myself. The judge basically made the determination based on everything that had been filed. I need to go look at this. And now, as of today, James Comey has said, I want the grand jury proceedings. And this is unprecedented. The government is required to hand deliver everything related to the grand jury Monday by 5:00 to the judge's chambers directly. And next week is going to be interesting, baby. Next week is going to be interesting. So he filed a bunch of shit today. Motion to dismiss for actual innocence with a copy of the video. Remember I said what he actually said is on video? The video has been filed with the court. The third motion to dismiss has been filed, and he has filed, I want the grand jury proceedings. He also filed a motion for the court to present the particulars of its case. Said that the actual indictment is too sparse for him to be able to prepare an actual defense at trial. So he said they need to file a paper of particulars, and that is so rudimentary and basic, you don't often see it. It's the fundamentals. They're doing the fundamentals of law. And you know I love the fundamentals. They said, as a matter of fact, let's go back to the very beginning, to the justification for all of this. It's not in this flimsy ass, barely 2-page indictment. So where is it? And he's entitled to that by law. They have to provide it. So you want to talk about the Bing Bop? Comey is on that Bing Bop every fucking day on this docket. He's kicking the shit out of Donald and the government's lawyers. And it is a sight to behold. And when I saw that motion come onto the docket, I want the grand jury proceedings, I said, oh, we've crossed over into new territory. And he must be betting his bottom motherfucking dollar that there's something in there. I'm sure he believes it more than I do. I say I feel shit in my bones. I'm sure he's feeling in his bones they either misrepresented what I said or they misrepresented the law to the grand jury. And in which case it's exculpatory. And I should be entitled to it because this is all a fucking farce any goddamn way. But that is unprecedented. The government prosecuted Helene Maxwell. The government asked the court to unseal the indictment. And the court said, you're fucking crazy. You know the bar you got to get over, clear, for the court to agree to do that? These things are secret for a reason. No. And as of this moment right now, James Comey has a better chance of getting his indictment than the government had the ability to get its own indictment unsealed for the public to see. Its own grand jury indictment process. But it is unprecedented that a defendant would be granted that. And if the judge finds a single fucking thing when he reviews it, he's going to grant it and give it to him. These are the unprecedented times that I live for. The rest of them are trash. I could really do without. 0 out of 10. Tomato. But this one right here, fuck him up, James. Fuck that man up. He deserves it. He deserves it. He deserves it. I get woken up in the middle of the night by the Comey docket. Those lawyers eat, sleep, shit. This case, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm so happy. I can't wait till next week. I can't fucking wait. I'm seriously excited for what comes next in this case on the docket next week after the judge actually looks at the things like I am like we all were for the Drake ruling. I'm like, I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait. Mollywop these motherfuckers. So that's what really had me excited today and what I planned on spending my little leisurely time just reading and kicking my feet over like a happy little schoolgirl. Yes. Oh, it makes me so happy. He motioned for it. He filed a motion for it today. The judge already decided that the judge was going to look at it based on everything that's happened and been alleged and what has been publicly reported about her breaking secrecy. So on the grounds of Lindsay Halligan breaking secrecy and talking to a reporter not once but twice and then trying to get the reporter to agree to, basically cover it up. Sketchy. The judge said that's enough grounds for me to privately look at everything having to do with her involvement in it that is documented, the transcript of the actual grand jury proceedings, which is everything that she said to them about what she alleges James Comey did and about the laws that she told them he allegedly broke. So the judge, you want to talk about the fundamentals, he's like, what words did you use? Did you represent his words accurately based on the fucking video and transcript that agrees on the public record? Because if they didn't, that means they tampered with evidence that they presented to a grand jury. The judge is going to look at everything. So the judge decided to do that just on GP of everything that has happened. But today, Comey's like, actually, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. So no ruling. Certainly no ruling is going to come before the judge looks at what it is. Because if the judge looks at it and it is shockingly above board, right? Reads the transcript and is like, actually, they didn't misrepresent Comey's words. Actually, they didn't misrepresent the law, which nobody believes. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. The amicus brief we read yesterday, signed by over 100 former DOJ officials, they don't believe that. Nobody believes that she represented the facts to the grand jury. And so he's like, fuck it. Roll the dice, file the motion now. If it is above board, then the judge will say, no. No, for all of these legal precedent reasons, and also because I didn't find anything. If there's something there, it speaks to Comey's motions to dismiss, all three of them. It's exculpatory evidence that proves his innocence. And it could be, did somebody tamper with evidence presented to a grand jury? That brings about a whole nother set of problems for little Miss Halitosis breath. hmm hmm I don't know what causes halitosis, but I'm just going to pretend that sucking on rotten tangerines would. That's what she gets. The quintessential definition of a biscuit head. A cuckold, a sock puppet, a mascot working, at the pleasure of Donald. Nasty, nasty little girl. She nasty. Ugh. Nasty. Nasty. She go to church every Sunday, never wear pantyhose. Hussy. Floozy. Loose woman. Thank you, B-Hop. Appreciate the support. Stout Jaco, thank you. I don't like her. If you couldn't tell, I don't like her. We don't get along. Strumpet. Mm, mm, mm. 79-year-old beef jerky. At church every Sunday. No knickers, no hose. A loose woman. Ah. Serve at the pleasure of the president. That used to be a high honor. To serve at the pleasure of the president is to be a high honor. This bitch done sullied it down to nothing. Spreading chlamydia on the church pews? A scandal. A scandal. I read it in the Wednesday edition of the Daily Bugle. They got the chlamydia over there at First Baptist. Yes, they do. Oh, she for damn sure don't wear a slip. Ooh, I love it. The Jezebel of the courts. Oh, perfect. Ah, yes.
High five. I'm bulletproof.
Very good. Very, very, very good. What the hell? Oh, God. Okay, that's the first time that's ever happened. I mean, I guess we're in the LBG. It's fine. I got backgrounds. Well, that doesn't really help me in. I don't like that one. That one's bad. I don't really know about that one either. Can't see that one. Can't see that one either. Sure, we'll do that. Courtesian, y'all are Lord, I can't stand this hoe ass woman.
High five. I'm bulletproof.
I remember that, story time. I remember this one time. I'm gonna be very, very vague. Very vague. But there was this one time in a professional situation. The boss in the situation was a man who I had a great deal of respect for. Great, great, great deal of respect for. Right, and this particular situation irrevocably changed our relationship. And we had a long professional relationship as well. So I started in one place, and then at the time of this incident, I'm in a different place, right? In every way that you can imagine. I'm in a different place. So this person, this man, had a perceived enemy that really bothered the hell out of him in just the most confounding way. Like, I didn't really like her, but now we all know that I've got my 5 nemesis, but she wasn't one of them. So it's not like I don't know what that feels like, but in the situation and what the situation was, I was like, I don't really see it, but he can't stand her ass. And again, she wasn't the greatest, person, and she was doing things that weren't above board. But his focus on it was at a place that it became like really unhealthy. And I'm all down for just holding people, as you all know. I'm like, let's just focus on what we can all see happening, what we know, what we have documentation of, and come at it like that, deal with it that way. But that apparently to them was taking too long. And so one day they come to me like super like amped, you know, and they're like, come into the office, need to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like, of course. and I'm very intrigued, because they're like, it's about such and such. And just come in. You're never gonna believe it. And I'm like, okay. So I go in there, I sit down, and he proceeds to tell me that he has obtained information about this person 100% illegally. He didn't do the illegal thing, but nevertheless, he benefited from it. Somebody else did the illegal thing to get the information. He became the recipient and beneficiary of this information. And then he proceeded to, with all eagerness, which was quite stunning to me. And this is a lesson in when you realize people don't know you. Because that was a moment for me where I was like, oh, when you realize, oh, you really got me fucked up. But he proceeded to, with a straight face, sit me down, explain this to me, and then explain to me in extreme detail, down to date, time, play, everything, extreme detail, how I was going to help him blackmail her. And I listened to everything and immediately was like, you're out of your mind. There is not a world. That was my immediate I didn't have a question. I immediately said, there is not a world in which I would ever do that. And he was dumbfounded because he felt like, well, ends justify the means. You can't stand her ass either. And I was like, there is no world in which I would do that. You shouldn't do it. And the conversation became contentious and ended when I said, and I've said this before, if you are a problem, don't pass my line of sight, because then I will become a problem for you. This is a person who professionally I was like this with for years. We went into several battles, were victorious, did good work together. And it ended on that day. Because I was like, you need to leave this alone. You can't do this. Da 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 da. And he was obsessed and furious that I wouldn't do it. And by the end of the conversation, I said, I'm a teller. And I thought he was going to try and physically hurt me for a moment because he couldn't believe it. And there was no hesitation. I left there. I spoke to a couple other people for contemporaneously documenting the conversation. And then I called her. No problem. Never spoke to him again. Never spoke to him again. I'm not one of those, oh, I'm just going to sit back, or, oh, I'm not going to, or I'm going to do it because we have this relationship, or, what? Nope. Nope. That's not necessary. We don't need to do that. You don't need to do that to have her held accountable. Wait for the process. The process will take care of her. This is humiliating information about her. Absolutely private. You would not have known if this other person hadn't broken the law at their job. I said, absolutely not. But this is, so when I think of people doing untoward things to serve at the pleasure of another person, that's the scenario. That's what I think about. That's what I think about. Yeah, there was no question in my mind. And I had no problem. I mean, I knew in that moment, I was like, as soon as he was shocked and upset and tried to get hostile with me, when I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I don't think you should do that. I knew in my mind, I was like, this relationship is about to be over because this motherfucker's going to start talking to me crazy. And I'm not going for it. I'm not going for none of this shit, to the point that I'm going to go tell her. She's still going to wind up being held accountable for the things that she did wrong. That's not going to negate that. She did harm. She'll still be held accountable for it by the appropriate body that holds her accountable for it. But you ain't going to do this. You ain't going to put my name in it. It's actually harmful. I'm going to tell her. And I told her. Wrote a statement, had it notarized, kept it pushing. She did lose her job for what it was that she had done, because that was a separate issue. But she didn't have the added on top of somebody with malicious intent, which is Donald, just trying to fuck with her because they decided that this person needs to be fucked with by any means necessary. It's all justifiable. No, it's not. This is not proportional. This is one of the many, many ways. This was an easy one. I've had much harder lessons in how do you calibrate a proportional response to something and not fuck yourself, your reputation, your professional integrity, all of those things. Yeah, there was no question in my mind from the moment it was proposed to me. No. Forever. Forever. And just like I was different where our professional relationship ended, he was different where our professional relationship ended than from where we were when we started our professional relationship. So for me, it was like in a single conversation, I just saw the full natural conclusion of this relationship is over. This relationship is over. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. And this is somebody who I would, my closest relationships, I often use the term like we're forged in fire because we've been through real shit. You can go through real shit with people that you work with. And we've been through real shit. We're forged in fire. Yeah, I took a hammer to that porcelain. Not anymore, baby. Not anymore. And never again. Never again. When I say that he was the boss, I should say that he was the project manager on the project that we were working on. So he was the senior person on the project. I actually did not work for him. So I could easily take my ball and go home and just be done. I'm not working on this anymore. It's that simple. So when I say that was the last conversation, that was the last conversation. I was just like, I'm done. I'm not working on this anymore. I'm out. I didn't get into, I'm not one of those people. I've learned and I'm old now. So I ain't got to go like, what do? I ain't got to talk to people for, oh my God, and all of that. Nope. I'm going to have my contemporaneous conversations with people who I know have integrity. This is what happened. This is what he said. This is what he showed me. This is what I said. This is what I did. I'm about to go call homegirl and tell her. And from that, I mean, he hated me and could not believe that I would do that. And I was like, that's just confirmation that this relationship is over. Because why would you be shocked that I would call her and tell her that you're going to try and do this? And yeah, I mean, again, by that point, I was like, you know, I'm not 22 years old anymore. I'm well into I'm definitely want to say, was I in my 40s? Yeah, it was probably in my early 40s. Definitely probably in my early 40s. Where I was just like, there there was no question at any point in time. And I've had a couple other situations where people have come to me with an expectation that I'm gonna get with their little plot to do something, and I'm not gonna do that. I don't care if you're my friend, I don't care if we have a long professional relationship, I don't care what your goals are. I don't care. I do not care. I really don't. Unless you are somebody that I am ride or die for and we about to disappear, goodbye Earl, roll him up in the rug. That's different. That's different. You my kin. Of course we can kill that man. That's different. Hypothetically. That's different. But you got a plot and a plan for some shit? No, I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Mm-mm. I don't adopt other people's stuff as my own. I got my own shit to deal with every day. I don't adopt other people's stuff as my own. That is really dangerous. It is really dangerous. And when it's not above board, then you don't need to help people try and get away with whatever it is that they're going to try and get away with. And I don't think it's okay for people to just be maliciously cruel and try and fuck with people. That's whack. That's whack juice to me. That's whack juice to me. I don't like cruelty in the world. And you can hold people accountable without being cruel. And holding them accountable may contribute to their suffering. Okay. That doesn't mean that you were cruel or violent or mean. That means the accountability was rough for them. Well, that's what they earned. So I don't feel bad about that. She earned what she deserved. She lost her job. She didn't deserve anything beyond that. But he wanted to destroy her, and I wasn't going to get with that. So, anyway. Yeah, my parents are dead, so my kids, my sister, and my 2 BFFs. And that's it. And still everything is real super proportional. You can't just call me and be like, "I killed him," and I'm gonna be like, "No problem, I'm on my way, we'll get rid of the body." No, I'm gonna need to do some deep investigation and consideration for what is the best path forward. I'm not just gonna get on board with the whatever, I'm gonna try and figure out what's the smartest thing to do here given the circumstances. Right? Yeah. It's a pretty tricky situation to be in. So, but this biscuit head bullshit, biscuit head ass bullshit with Lindsay just dropping to her knees for Donald. I mean, it's so pathetic. And every time I look at her face when I see her on the news or something, I just feel like she is a disgrace to women and a disgrace to professional women. That you just have no integrity, that your mouth is so stuck around gargling this man's balls that you will do anything. You will say anything. You will potentially tamper with evidence. You will misrepresent the facts to a grand jury under fucking oath. You're using your bar to do that. That's a fucked up person and a real pathetic woman. A real pathetic woman, that you are taking the gains of every woman before you. Every single state in the United States of America has a first woman to be a lawyer and a first woman to be a prosecutor and a first woman to be a governor or a chief of police or this, that, in our lifetimes. And this hoe is taking all of that and saying, fuck it. For the D, let's do it. You cunt. You cunt. Yeah. Yeah, I don't support all women. Some of you cunts are horrible. She's one of them. Just fucking horrible. It does. It does. I saw a woman who, I wonder if I saw this woman on TikTok who had me just absolutely, I was like, oh my God, she's speaking my language. I wonder if I see her quickly. Oh, here she is.
Can someone tell me what part of menopause I need to fix? Or how to fix? Calling everybody a fucking whore? Like, I'm not doing that, you fucking whore. That's what I say all day long. How do I fix that? Can someone tell me what part of menopause I need to fix? Or how to fix? Calling everybody a fucking whore? Like, I'm not doing that, you fucking whore. That's what I say all day long. How do I fix that? Can someone?
I said, wait a minute, we get to blame this on menopause? She said, all she says all day is fucking whore. I was like, oh my God. Do you want to form an alliance with me? She's a fucking cunt. A fucking cunt. Shit. Habeas harlot. You all are in there working. Niecy. Y'all are in there really working. Wow. It is definitely suck a shit. Technical term. TQ says, I'm officially menopausal and I'm leaning into it. Everyone is a fucking asshole. I'm telling you, when she came across my FYP, you know, because it's kind of muffled at the beginning when she says it. I was like, did she say fucking whore? Menopause? What? I watched it again and I was like, oh my God. I watched it several more times just for the giggles. Left her a nice affirming comment, gave her a couple, you know, you could try this, you could try that. I see nothing wrong. I see nothing wrong with what you're doing. If there's a medication, I don't want it. Okay. Okay, sister in arms, if there's a medication for this, I don't want it. Because everybody over here is a fucking biscuit head. Are you kidding me? Shoot. So yeah, Drake is I mean, Drake is fucked as far as I'm concerned. I know that doesn't seem very optimistic, but I don't really see a reason to be optimistic for Drake. Um Sorry, I just saw something. Yeah, so Drake is fucked. There's always somebody coming into the comment section to call me a dumb bitch. Juan Gomez. Your mother's a whore. How about that? I'm blocking you from the channel. Jeez, people, calm down. Do y'all think that Drake is going to get another lawsuit in the next 7 days? Thumbs up. You think he's going to get sued again in the next 7 days? Thumbs down. You do not think he's going to get sued again in the next 7 days. We can talk about this next. This can be our final topic because I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God. Okay, well, not inshallah. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I know, right? You could get sued. He may get sued for something entirely different. You're absolutely right. He could. That ain't gonna save him. Trust you, trust me. That ain't gonna save him. Nisi said, I'll do you better. 2 more. He gonna get sued in 2 more states. By this time next week. Okay. Wow. Brutal. This is brutal. This is brutal. Facts. Yeah, I think so. I think this is the easiest layup for so many lawyers. All they need to find is a client, and they'll be able to do that. So, I don't know if it's gonna be in the next. Well, none of us knows, but I think it is the domino effect. I think it is the domino effect, and I'm trying to think if, I don't think we've ever seen an artist of his name recognition. I don't know if I wanna say caliber, 'cause his caliber is kinda sucks right now, but I don't know that we've ever seen, an artist of his name recognition facing such aside from criminal. Diddy is not included in this. But facing such potential liability and legal headache for, fraud. It's crazy. They're accusing Drake of fucking manipulating people so he could steal their money. Yeah, Milli Vanilli. I wonder if their record label was sued or if they were sued. I wonder if there was a class action or somebody attempted a class action against Milli Vanilli for fraud. I don't remember that being a part of the narrative. I do remember them losing their Grammys and basically every, record or accolade, was officially stripped from them. But I'm thinking more like scheme, like and I can't think of anything. I was thinking about Ja Rule in relation to the Fyre Fest, but that pales in comparison to this. So yeah. Yeah, I thought about that. But that didn't get as big as this. Hmm. Well, I guess we'll see, won't we? We shall see, and we will gather. All right, we got a couple minutes left. What's this talk about aliens? Has there been new news? New news about aliens that I missed? Same. That whole thing was a shit show from beginning to end. I know about the thing that's out in space traveling. I've been reading about it, and okay, all right, thank you. Let it go. What the scientists have been saying about it, but the things circling the sun, defying the laws of gravity, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like him very much, I don't like him very much. He is similar in age to one of my kids, and I've talked about this on this channel many times before, that there were certain points in my son's adolescence and young adulthood where we had to have an intentional sit-down conversation, or you could call it a confrontation, about making sure that he didn't become an asshole as he was trying to figure out what his personality was. And people like Adin Ross never got that conversation, and they never course corrected. He strikes me as a completely arrogant, grade A asshole who has no self-discipline whatsoever. He strikes me as petulant and like he would be the most annoying fucking person that you could encounter during a day. Death by misadventure. And my son will tell people straight to his face, bro, you're too stupid to talk to me. I read as a child. I still read books. Like, that's his baseline. We can't have this conversation. I read books as a kid. I still read books. And that's his gavel for that. That's his version of reason and stupid can't sit at the same table. We don't share snacks. His version is for people his age. Nah, the difference between us is I read as a child. I still read today. You can't touch me, boy. And I think that's just great. I think that's a great standard to have. That's a great standard to have. Literally, you're just too stupid to even have this conversation with me, and I ain't gonna waste my time. I read books. Oh, gosh. Yep. Yep. All of the things. Petulant, no self-discipline, no guidance, cannot read. Yes. The grading curve for white boys and the failing upward is absurd. He lives in an alternative universe where he thinks he can control everything because the frame of the screen is so material to his life. He doesn't have perspective. He's never had a real job. I'm so grateful that my son has had several real jobs. He's had ass jobs. He's had great jobs. He's had just okay jobs. You know, he's been working long enough to know what, you know, the value of being able to work 4/10s. And decide, is it Friday gonna be my day off, or is Monday gonna be my day off? And what are the, like, you have no idea how happy I am that my son is not, you know, did not turn 15 and decide, well, he wouldn't have been able to do this because I would not have allowed him to. Right. But I'm so glad that my son didn't turn 15 and just decide, like, I'm going to be a gamer. I'm going to be a streamer. I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to try and get onto this, you know, attention economy, because he would be an asshole today. I would not like him. We wouldn't have the relationship that we have. I fundamentally believe that. If I had let go of or even loosened the reins, no. No. That's why I didn't allow online gaming in my house ever. You could not do it. You technically couldn't do it in my house. Why? Because you're just playing with a bunch of people on the internet who are assholes. That's not necessary part of the gaming experience. I don't give a fuck what your friends are doing. So he has a great deal of discernment, and he's still growing and he's still learning in the real world. So if at some point in time he does decide that he's going to do something else, he will have a fundamental foundation that the most popular streamers don't have. And what happens, right, when that runs out for them? What happens when the attention economy runs out for them? They don't have any material skills in the world. Because they've never had a real job that they had to depend on and be responsible to. We've already established that you can be on the internet and not know a fucking thing and be one of the most popular channels ever. Rory and Maul, every single podcast, they just are talking out of their asses. Facts, expertise, they don't need any of that shit to collect a check. So you don't actually need to do anything. You don't need to know anything to actually survive in this world. Well, how long does that last for? If you don't pivot that into something else that requires an actual skill, how long does that last for? They start thinking, oh, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. Motherfucker, it is not going to last forever. Because your audience is growing up, and then there becomes such an age gap between you and the younger ones coming in that then it's weird. Then it's weird and creepy. And a lot of them are on that precipice now, right? Adin's kind of on the younger side. But when you look at other streamers, they're getting, you know, Emma Ruth's 27. She's gonna be 30 in a minute. Then she's gonna be 35. Then she's gonna be 40. Like, and you know, they're the other, you know, popular streamers. They're in their 30s. You're gonna have a family. You're gonna have a kid. You're gonna do da. Like, they're living in a bubble of an alternative reality, but it has an expiration date. The clock is ticking down for all of these people. And the more they get involved in, the more liability they amass. And Adin seemed more than happy to dive into shit he had no business being involved in. So, yeah, reap all the consequences of your actions, bro. All of them. Because you're a dumb fuck and you shouldn't be allowed to have a microphone. China just passed a law. That would never happen here. But China just passed a law. If you're going to be an influencer on the internet, guess what? You need to have a degree in the thing you're talking about. You need to have a degree or experience equivalent. I said, "Oh, I love it." China said, "No, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're cute or funny or quirky or whatever. You ain't going to be on the internet just talking out the side of your neck about any old motherfucking thing. If you don't know what the fuck you're talking about." We would never do that here, but God, wouldn't it be great if we did? Wouldn't it be great if you were not allowed to get up on the internet and talk about shit that you did not either have a degree in or commiserate professional experience actually doing? We'd be a lot better off as a society in America. No question. No question. And they wouldn't be around because they don't have shit to actually talk about. They don't actually talk about anything. All they do is gossip. Like little middle school boys. All they do is gossip and hate on the girls who don't like them. Mhm. Mhm. The manosphere would absolutely fall apart immediately. Immediately. So with the wellness influencer grift, that shit would be gone from one day to the next. From one day to the next, that shit would be gone. Oh. What a beautiful world. Nope, just age. That's it, just age and, where you were born. Age and nationality, that's it. It's pretty pathetic. No, there wouldn't, because that's not sustainable on a higher academic for accredited colleges and universities. That's not a sustainable track of offerings. So, no, it wouldn't, and they don't have any reason to do that. So, no, they wouldn't. That's not how higher academia works. For real. For real. Oh, no, no, no. You have to be accountable to the Chinese government for your platform and everything that you say underneath your degree, because the government is the one that educated you. So the degree is not licensed to just say what the fuck ever. Nope. Nope. The degree ties you into state-sanctioned, approved messaging and rhetoric. They be thinking over there in China, you know? They be really thinking, how do we make this effective and accountable? And then there's that too. Social score in China is real, so it helps bring order back to the integrity of social score. So, yeah, they said enough of this horse shit. We are the standard, so this is the requirement. Damn it. We certainly don't have that here. Damn it. We don't even teach the same things across the country here. You're only getting a Chinese education in China. Even if you're in a diplomat's kid's school from another country, it's still state-sanctioned education. You can be in an international baccalaureate program. It's still state-sanctioned through the Chinese government. So they on the hook now. Must be nice. Must be nice. Which means you ain't gonna be on the internet talking about shit. Not anything of consequence anyway. Right? Not anything of consequence. If you want to talk about your, whatever, your pet, your dog, the book you're reading, random shit, cool. But if you want to try and be a voice of authority or have influence on how people see or understand a thing, yeah, you on the hook now, buddy. You on the hook now, buddy. You better have all your credentials in order. It better be in line with state-sanctioned education and messaging, or why you talking? You have no business talking. Which in theory is great, but again, there's no freedom of speech in China, so it's very easy for them to do this. It's very easy for them to say, you cannot talk about that thing. That's against the law. Whereas here, we can talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. And we don't have to know anything to do it. So I love this. I love this. A guy colleague got so mad when I called Joe Rogan Gwyneth Paltrow / Goop for dudes. I asked him to explain why not, and it didn't go well. I would imagine it did not go well. I would imagine it would not go well. But I love that he is getting called out by more and more people, and not just like people standing over in the corner, yelling from their corner of the internet that Joe Rogan is a biscuit head. They're going on his show and telling him to his fucking face, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and you're doing harm. And stop pretending like you don't know that, because you're insulting the intelligence of smart people. Yeah. A lot of stupid people watch you and listen to you. A lot of smart people are aware of exactly what the fuck you're doing and how insidious it is. And we've seen people explain to your face the harms already, so we know that you understand. So it's willful. You are a willful harm to society because you are constantly talking out the side of your fucking neck and presenting people with misinformation. I'm paraphrasing. These are, scientists and doctors and shit, experts in the law. So I'm paraphrasing. But I love that for him. I think it's fantastic. Because Joe Rogan has drunk his Kool-Aid so much that he believes that he's willing to have these people come on his show because he thinks that he can manipulate them. And as soon as it starts, they just call him out. They just call him out. No, I'm the actual intelligent guest. You're not going to pull this shit on me. Now you're starting to do that thing that you do where you pivot and take your guests and your listening audience down some bucktooth crazy ass rabbit hole that has no basis in reality whatsoever. I love it. He's fully fucking aware. That's why he was crying last month, trying to secure his 2026 sponsorship deals. I'm not going to talk about politics. It's not even who I am. Yes, the fuck it is. And that mea culpa is not going to get you more sponsors. They're not dumb either. You just think everybody's fucking stupid because you make a living off of stupid people. That you have forgot that there are actually intelligent people in the world and we can see you. We can see you. We seen your dumbass this whole time. For damn sure. Yes. Yeah. Somebody said something about most of people in China never heard about the 1984 uprising and they hadn't seen the photo and blah, 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 blah. I can tell you from personal experience that Chinese people will not tell you what they do or don't know, especially when it comes to information that they know has been repressed in their country. You could walk up to 1 million Chinese people in China, hold up a photo of Tiananmen Square, and have all of them say, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And every last one of them has seen that photo. You could ask them in America, and you'll have a lot of Chinese people who will say, I'm not going to talk about it, or I don't know what you're talking about. That's called self-preservation. That's called self-preservation because the Chinese government watches Chinese nationals everywhere and the people that influence Chinese nationals everywhere, and they have police everywhere around the world, including in America. China has secret police that watch people, surveil them, bug their homes, abuse them, kill them, disappear them on boats back to China. Not making any of this up, all very, very real. And Canada, all over the world. So Chinese people tend to be very careful, unless they have made a distinct decision in their life that they are a freedom fighter. They don't, in my experience, they will be quick to deny things that they absolutely know. and it's self-preservation. Because underground media in China is robust and always has been, especially when there is an uprising. Underground media and communication, extremely robust. So that's just like, you now seeing a bunch of people who are jumping onto social media. If you see somebody shoplifting in the grocery store, no, no, you did not. Talking about food stamps and all that stuff being taken away, but Chinese people don't see shit. They don't see shit. They didn't see it. Huh? What? It happened right in front of you. He pulled out the gun right in front of you. I didn't see it. I missed that. I'm so sorry. But they know. Doctors, authors, China loves to disappear a fucking author. Jesus Christ. They would be against reading if it weren't necessary for them to, excel technologically. They would ban reading outright if they could, but they can't do that. Yeah. 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 But also history authors. I mean, yeah, China's pressure and intimidation of creatives, artists, historians, academics, like it's never waned ever. They just get better at it. Unfortunately. They just get better at it. All right, y'all. Well, I got to go. But it was good to hang with you and have another Drake is fucking up session. As I said, when I realized I couldn't get the document, I was like, "Ugh, do I even have this live?" And I decided, yes, let's have it. Let's go ahead and mark the occasion. It's like fucking breaking the bottle of champagne on the new boat or something. Jesus Christ. Got to come together. We got to talk about it. We got to mark it. Shout out to the replay gang as well, who's going to come over here like, I heard he was sued again. Was he sued? Yes, he was sued again. And we shall see, over the next couple of days if yet another lawsuit drops. But in the meantime, I will see you tomorrow. I'll be here around 4:00. I'll be in costume. Yes, I will. And then I'll see you Saturday over on We Are Deciphered. And then I'm going to see you on Sunday. We have a conversations for the culture here, noon, with a guest. We're finishing spooky season real strong. And maybe you'll be sick of me after this weekend because you going to get a little bit of me every day. A little bit of me every day. Maybe I'll show some ankle. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Also for Princey's final costume of the season. Amen. Hallelujah. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. But have a good night. I appreciate y'all very much, and I will see you soon. Peace.